selected what we thought were the best. And thank you for, we are now recording the meeting. So unfortunately, they had a major change in staffing in the department that was in charge of this bookmark. So they said that they may not get to it until October at the soonest. So that's the reason we haven't had any information to share with you on that. We don't know which specific final photos that they chose. We gave them a few more than needed because there was a lot that were good. And so we're still waiting to hear which ones they've chosen. Once they tell us, we will share all that information with you. As of now, thanks to Hunt's photo education program, we do have 6 programs planned, which will fill our meetings from October to March. And in our effort to offer a range of presentations, I can't even read straight today. One of our presenters is a young photographer who shoots macro to micro with a bridge camera. So we thought that might be a good thing for those of us that are more beginner or intermediate photographers that will find that helpful to see the range of things they can do with that kind of camera. Besides that, some of our other presentations are really all professional photographers from there on. And one will be focused on bird photography and the best geared to do it. One is a topic of landscape photography, another color contrast and composition in photography, the art of flower photography, wildlife of high altitudes and high latitudes. So it sounds like I think it should be an exciting season. So I hope everybody will attend. If you can't make it for whatever reason, we do record our sessions if we have the permission of the photographer. And so you will be able to access it if you go to our schedule online. On Audubon Everglades, we have a couple tabs, and one of them is our plans for the season. It's our calendar. So you can check on the calendar, and through the calendar, you can access our recordings. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far with anything that I've said?
Just briefly, will we have a chance to determine the order of pictures that we talk about?
The only way you would have that is if you numbered them when you submitted them.
Okay, okay.
Is that, yeah, because that's one of the, it might have gotten lost, but it is one of the things that we told you in the, was to number them. So Harvey, hopefully they'll just magically be in the order you want, but that's that, unless Rich wants to flip back and forth, but that could be a little bit confusing.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So I just want to make you aware that I was thinking of us having our audio on, but maybe we're best off having it off for each presentation. And at the end of each person's 4 images, if you have any questions, we'd like to leave a little time open for people to ask questions of the photographer. So remember, you'll have to turn your audio back on for that. And then hopefully turn it off again for the next person. How's that sound? Everybody ready for it? Okay, Rich. I'm going to turn it over to Rich, who's in charge of the presentation and the photographs.
Okay, this will take me a couple of seconds. Let's see if I can do this without making this too painful. Oops, I got to close that. And okay, everybody should be seeing something that is a misnomer. It says Audubon Everglades Photo Club.
Yep.
And it says photo share. Okay, so we're going to move to the first one is going to be Norton. So I'll go, Norton, people tell me, well, the speaker tell me when to switch pictures. You can say what you want about your picture. Tell me when you're ready for the next one. And then I'll move to the next one. So,
well, a very, very quick summary. First trip to Iceland, I was absolutely not and know what I was expecting in terms of lighting. And I had only one lens, a 100 to 400 Canon. and one extender, 1.4 extender. And this, I had very, you know, probably my keeping rate was about 5–10%. You know, I had a lot of stuff that was not very sharp. I was not very happy with that. And saying that, the pictures that I put together here, the 5 are what I consider the sharpest ones, which I still not very happy with. This hornet grebe was probably about, what, 40 feet, 50 feet away. And this picture is a crop, is probably a very heavy crop of what I had initially. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you ready to go to the next one?
Yes, sir. Yeah, flying pup in one of the few days carrying food. You know, end of the day, the sun would going down at probably 11 p.m. and bouncing back an hour and a half later. Yeah, one of the few sharp ones that I got. Next. Family of a group of friends. My wife asked if I had put this bird flying on top, you know, just pasting that on top. No, that's exactly how it was shot. I have a version of this picture with a better sky in the back. I decided to just put my raw file with just a little exposure change in Lightroom. Everything has to be shot with ISO probably 1000 or 1200 because in the light it was very dark most of the days that I was there. Next. iPhone photography, you know, yeah, very another great day. Next.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Norton?
Norton, what camera did you use?
And a Canon 90D, and I'm definitely considering changing for a mirrorless camera. Very likely R5, especially I really like birds in flight, and it's absolutely, well, not impossible because a lot of people took really good pictures before without mirrorless, but the keeping rate is, you know, the good ones are very few.
Yes. Yes, that eye technology that they have is
yes.
a lot of good has been said of it for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That was great.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bob, up now, over to you. If you would unmute, please.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is my first time, so while I do take lots of pictures, I haven't joined y'all before, so.
Well, welcome.
We'll see how it goes. This is a young barn owl from earlier in the summer. Was lucky enough to track him. He was close. Got a couple of good snaps off on him, and yeah, very happy with this. Don't usually see them flying in the daytime. This is in Western Palm Beach County.
Let me know when you're ready for the next one.
Go ahead. And this is my favorite bird, caracara, crested caracara. This is probably from the Dinner Island Ranch Wildlife Management Area. They're not uncommon there. There's a couple of nests that I watch up that way. And he was investigating some cow patties for bugs and happened to fly right by me.
Where was this picture taken, Bob?
It was taken in Hendry County, north and west of Clewiston.
Okay.
In Dinner Island Ranch.
What?
It's a wildlife management area.
Very cool picture.
It is beautiful.
Okay. Move on.
Okay. I don't know how many I put down.
You had a total of 4, so this is number 3.
Okay. This is an eagle nest from this year. I think they had a false start and these guys were still active. I think this picture was taken in April, I believe. So they're just starting to bounce around. There were 3 young ones. They all fledged and seemed to make it okay. Very fun to watch these guys. They're across a small little canal, but you can get fairly close to them.
Whereabouts is this, Bob?
Pardon me?
Whereabouts was this?
This is also up near Clewiston. Go ahead. Oh, and this was a very lucky shot. A friend of mine and I were driving around the same day that I got that other barn owl. This guy was hunting down a little canal. I was driving, and we worked this out. If there's something good on my side, he'll grab the wheel and I'll just keep driving and shoot out the window. And so we took a series of these blackbirds and mockingbirds, you know, pestering the owl. And he'd fly on for a while, and then he'd turn around and go back the other way. So I'd turn the car around, and my friend had a chance to shoot at him. So it was a pretty red letter day.
Wow, what a great photo.
Yep, wonderful. Maybe you'd like to lead a tour of one of these days to some of these places for us.
I would do that. It's kind of hit or miss.
I know.
You know, to go to one spot. This was in the sugarcane fields, this one. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. You just got to be patient and drive around a lot. I take guided tours, but just with 1 or 2 people in the car with me. I'm not a photo expert, but I do know where some of the birds live. So, but yeah, I think I talked to somebody about doing a tour with y'all one day, but I can't figure out how to make it worthwhile for everybody.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, we can. Sure. You know,
that'd be great.
Ready to move on to Bob Cummings, right?
Will anybody else have any questions for Bob?
I have a quick question. Which lens did he use?
This is a Canon 600 f4 with a 1.4.
Wow.
And this is a mirrorless camera, Bob?
This is an R3. Yeah, this was one of the first times I got to use an R3 that I recently purchased.
Talking about the previous picture, the 2 birds in the nest, do you go through Lightroom working your pictures, or you just have the raw files in normal?
I shoot raw and I do develop them some. Yeah, you know, I piddle with the exposure and whatnot some. Yeah.
Yeah, they look really nice.
Bob.
Thank you
Bob,
so much.
I have a question also. This is Scott Zucker. I've seen this happen before with red-winged blackbirds chasing down raptors. And I'm just curious, how many shots in the series do you have of this? Do you have all the other shots in the series of the red-winged blackbird?
Yeah, I have. This particular one I think I kept 4 or 5. There was another one where the bird didn't get actually that close. I got 5 or 6 of him, you know, coming in and then breaking away. Yeah, I was able to get lots of them because.
Yeah, it might be nice at some point to share the series so we can see the whole process of, you know, the bird, because I've seen this happen so many times in the wild, and it's fascinating to watch. And from a photographic standpoint, to be able to show that would be wonderful.
Sure, I could do that easily.
What's very nice here is the light is very even all across the bird, you know.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You don't have a lot of shadows, which it makes really, really cool picture.
Yeah, you get lucky sometimes. You go often enough.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue. Okay, so Bob Cummings is next. We got one picture for you, Bob. Are you there?
Unmute.
It's so unmute if you're there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Bob, told Rich, I believe it was, that he had trouble uploading his other 3 pictures. So this is unfortunately the only one of his pictures that we got, but it's a beauty. I guess we'll have to move on, Rich.
Yep, okay. So Marie Dugan, you are next.
Hi. The pictures that I'm showing are from over the summer, and they're all taken someplace in Palm Beach County. This is the mighty Anhinga with his fish. He was quite entertaining because notice he couldn't get the dang fish off his beak. So I got to watch him beat the daylights out of it, but he finally got to eat it. That was at Wakota-Hatchie Wetlands. Next photo. Many trips out to Brown's Farm Road this summer, and I love reflection shots. The skimmers were active. The lighting was not always the best, and this was the best of what I could pull out. So this was in that vert nature area where the godwits were. And that was July of this past summer. I love that spot. It was so interesting, and you didn't know which way to look half the time of what was coming by. So if you haven't been out there when the fields are flooded, make sure you get a chance at it. Next photo. This is my yoga bird. This is a piping plover shot on Spanish River Park Beach. There was also a Wilson's plover and a black-bellied plover hanging out for a few days. The piping plovers were there a little bit longer. This is slightly cropped because they're what I call crack birds, where they never sit still. They're always moving. And I just think it has a really cute overall behavioral pose to it. And the last photo, I think. So a non-bird picture. This is a soft-shelled turtle. Again, Wakota-Hatchie Wetlands, the same day as the Anhinga. For a July day, even though it was ungodly hot out, there was a lot of action going on. And he's got this fish, and he's just swimming under where all the wood storks nest. And this was the best shot. And you can see this fish's expression like, oh no. And the eye came out really well. He was constantly in motion. I got a few shots, and I thought this was the best, and it was actually the closest. So that was Wakota-Hatchie as well. So 3 different spots in Palm Beach County. Even during the heat of the summer, you can always find something to photograph.
Anybody have any questions for Marie?
I do. Marie, was that a dead fish that he found, or did he somehow, it just looks like a big fish.
It's huge, isn't it? And I'm not sure if it was dead or not, because the only reason I noticed was because of the speed in which he was moving. And I mean, it doesn't actually look fresh, but he's not bloated or anything. So
yeah, interesting.
I really couldn't tell. And I didn't realize that soft shells eat those. You can see he's got them by the gill plate there.
Yeah, wow. Interesting picture.
Okay, next up is Jan Freeman. Jan, you need to unmute.
Is there a Jan Freeman in the house?
I thought I saw Jan come through.
Participants. Bring up the participants and just see. Maybe.
No, I'll lose this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, if she comes back and joins us, at the very end, I could go back to anybody we had to skip by.
Okay.
So Nancy Freeman.
Well, these are actually somewhat older pictures because my computer crashed and I didn't have access to all of my current stuff. Because most of it I get, anyway, doesn't matter. So these are a little bit older. They're from Fort DeSoto. One of my favorite birds is the reddish egret. And I just love the way they hunt. And this is one of the behaviors that they do when they hunt, is they create a shadow, and that shadow is supposedly make it easier for them to see the fish below. And also, for some reason, it seems to attract the fish. The fish like to be in a shaded area. So it's one of the ways in which that they feed, essentially. Next. They also are so graceful and actually sometimes comical. And this one I love because I don't know how I managed it, but caught him on his tippy toes. And he was off to chase a bird or something, not sure what. I didn't mean a bird, I meant a fish, sorry. And they work in the shallows and they'll just run like crazy and then do a 180 and go in the other direction and then pounce on a fish. They are very, very dynamic when they're hunting. Next. This is another picture of them hunting, and sometimes they will raise those plumes on their neck and head, and just, I love that look. And this is another one where they're actually shadowing in order to hunt. And sometimes what you'll see them do also, like you've seen other birds, is they take their feet and they'll move around the bottom sand and try to stir up the fish and wait for them to be seen, and then boom, stab it. And last one. I just love this attitude. This is the breeding colors. So they have that orange, they have the plumes that seem to get longer and more dramatic, and they have that pink at the base of their, Nancy's forgetting. Anyway, so that wonderful pink will always be on the mature breeding birds. There's also a white morph whose beak also shows the pink during breeding season. And other seasons, theirs will be more black, the beak. They will also have the hair and the plumes that are standing up like that, and they have the same behavior. So sometimes you can get confused with the white morphs because they look like a great egret, but those certain things will, their behavior and their beak definitely tell you it's different. It's the white morph of the reddish. Anybody have any questions?
Nancy, I have a question. It's Scott.
Hi.
Hi there. I loved all four of these images. The first image, though, was incredibly striking. It was it was luminous, and I wondered, and it was different than the other three, in that the body was almost silvery, and were you shooting that at a different angle? Was the lighting different? I mean,
the lighting, yeah, the lighting changes. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. It might have.
Do you want me to go back to that picture?
If you would, I wouldn't mind seeing it again. Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if this was like morning. This could have been just very, very soft morning light.
It's stunning. The contrast of the wings to the body is just amazing here. It's stunning.
And the fact that the background also, it's very even, it's beautiful, makes a bird pop up. It's very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's in Fort DeSoto, which is in the West Coast. And it's just that when the beach is quiet and the light is good, which the weather is good, and we've got clouds. It is just, it's one of my favorite places to go.
Was this a cloudy day?
I think this was morning, so it was just softer light because of that, but it could have been somewhat cloudy too. I wish I could tell you for sure, but I don't remember. Usually I take over 1,000 pictures when I go there. So, and I'm there overnight, so I'm there at many different times of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how the lighting looks pretty different and the colors even look different in the 4 pictures. But yeah, I like the light in this too. Thank you, Scott.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
By the way, Nancy, I'm noticing you got about 9 items in the chat session. I don't know if you want to check those out. If so,
okay, thank you.
There.
Thank you. Moving right along. Next.
Okay, I believe Paula Gatrell's next.
Oh,
yes. You there,
yay.
Paula?
Paula? Unmute yourself if you're muted. Did somebody see her?
Come back for her. Okay, well, we shall return.
All right, I'll see if she sent me anything.
And next one is, and I apologize, I'm just going to go, first name is Karen.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm here. I just want to say this is my first time here and I'm a beginner photographer. So just so you know, this is the Black Crown Night Heron and I saw this at Wakadahatchee this summer.
Great. Well, welcome. Is it first time and beginner?
Yeah, I'm a beginner too.
What kind of camera were you using?
I have a Canon Rebel SL3.
Okay. Thank you. It's a nice camera.
Good cameras.
Okay. Let me go to your next one.
Yes, next, please. This is also at Wakadahatchee, and it's extremely cropped. So.
It's pretty.
And that's, yeah. It's a white peacock butterfly, in case you're interested.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
It's okay. It's called a white peacock.
Okay.
Hey.
Oh. This is at Wakadahatchee State Park, or I guess federal park. This is my daughter and our dog, and it was sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get that off like the launching, like where the canal is.
Yeah, great spot for silhouettes.
Yeah.
Okay.
These were white ibises at Murakami, and I just liked the way the reflection was. I know the birds are pretty common, but I just liked the look of the picture.
Okay. And the next, any questions? Okay, next person is Holly.
Hi there. This is how I spent my summer vacation. The only way I could stand being out was either being at the beach or in the car with the air conditioner on. But this was a lucky catch out on Browns Farm Road. The Avocets definitely cooperated for at least a few minutes, and I got a chance to get some pictures of them. And I liked the fact that they were very lively and kicking up the water. Next. Okay, again, this is like, we got a chance to see black-necked stilts nesting from sitting on the nest through, you know, every stage of the babies out there in the ag fields this summer. And I thought they were just the cutest little things walking along. I don't know if this is Gladeview Road or Brown's Farm. I can't remember which one, but at any rate, next picture. And here is a familiar by now. Oh, yeah, this is, I think this is a newish reddish egret out at Fort DeSoto. The last time I was there, there was a pair that stayed together but did not act like a mated pair, acted more like a parent and fledged offspring. And I believe this might be offspring, although it's really kind of hard to tell. He had very, very, very fresh mane on him, and I really liked him. Okay, next. And here is another one of the reddish egrets doing his hunting dance.
Oh, some water.
Awesome.
That's great. I like the head-on look.
Well, they usually will cooperate with you. Unfortunately, sometimes the light doesn't work with the way that they dance, but
yeah.
Or where we're positioned, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, as soon as you get used to them being right in front of you, they decide to move, 20 yards downstream, and you start all over again. But they're a lot of fun.
I did text Bill about whether that was a youngster or a mate, and he said it was a mate.
I know there's people that say mate, and then there's other people that say it's a youngster. So
yeah, so we're not sure.
They're not telling.
Yeah, and the one before that you had with the whole black beak, I think that was an adult, just not a non-breeding adult.
Well, I don't know. I think he's different.
Okay.
I think he's new on the scene because we've seen the other ones a couple of years in a row. And they never look that fresh to me. They look kind of ratty most of the time.
I didn't think mine looked ratty.
No.
You can't keep insulting them though.
We're kidding each other because we were together for all of these pictures. So it's good.
It was fun.
It was great.
All right,
Good
that's
job,
it.
Holly.
Good
job.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for Holly?
This is Jerry. I have a question because I'm usually on the Gulf Coast side, but where is Brown's Farm Road and Gladeview Road?
They're off of Southern Boulevard going west before you get to Belglade.
Okay, thank you.
Holly and I guess Bob also, both of y'all I think had pictures from Brown's Farm Road maybe. I know how to get to Belglade. I know how to get to Gladeview Road, but I see other people post things from Brown's Farm Road, and anytime we've been out there, it doesn't seem like we're in the right place.
You're not
quite sure how to get to where Brown's Farm Road is, where we're seeing all these birds.
When you're on Brown's Farm Road, as you're going south, you'll notice that there's a dike to your left. Okay. And you have to cross those really scary looking rickety narrow bridges in order to get to the other side, in order to see the flooded field.
Okay. I guess that's why, because we never wanted to cross those things.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Do you drive over those bridges or do you have to walk?
You betcha.
Yeah, I kind of grit my teeth and I do it. Yep.
Okay. All right, we may try that next time. Okay.
And Julie, when you go over the bridge, then you're going to want to drive along that dirt road that you reach when you go over the bridge.
Okay.
And we usually go over the third bridge, but you can go over the first or second as well.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on which fields are flooded, it depends on where you need to be.
Okay, we may give it another try then. Okay.
Yeah, make sure your tires are good too.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have questions for her? Okay, next person coming up is Mark.
Okay. Okay, we're going to start with this royal tern. I took this at Lake Ida Park in Delray Beach, Florida, in Palm Beach County. I took this picture on 6/25. The week before on 6/17, it was a very exciting day for me because the Royal Tern was a lifer for me.
Good neat.
But that day I saw the band and I wanted to go to reportband.com and report it and get a certificate, but I didn't get a good enough picture of the band that week. But then this week, you know, it was more accommodating. It was on a closer perch. And, you know, I think it's one of the best pictures I've ever taken. You know, the lake isn't so much in focus that it distracts from the bird, but it's enough in focus. And one of the points of the pictures are if you zoom in enough, you know, you could also see the metal federal leg band. So I filled out a report on reportband.gov, and I got a really nice letter from the U.S. Geological Survey and the Canadian Wildlife Service thanking me for participating in avian research and telling me what it was about. And then a couple of days later, they gave me some information about this bird, which I'm going to read here from my notes. This bird was banded on 7/10/2021. Age of bird was too young to fly when banded in 2021. Sex of bird unknown. So that means it took, you know, I don't know how long it took to get there, but it was 11 months after it was banded, and it traveled 919 miles, and that's what I know about the bird. And I saw the bird a few weeks later, and I got another certificate, and I have both of them framed, and I'm very proud of it. One quick aside: if anybody here has never seen a Lincoln, Lake Ida Park is the place to go. You will see them every time. All right, next, please. Okay, this black vulture. Okay, evidently I didn't realize, is that my mouse on top of this, or I'm not sure why, how that mouse is over the eye, but not the big deal. This is we're going back to July 6, 2021. Thank you, sir. We're at Arthur Marshall Lakahatchee National Wildlife Reserve. Thanks for taking the mouse away. I took the levee trail from Lee Road, and my plan was to walk about 4.5 miles north. There's a metal jetty on the left. I had my camera with me, but I wasn't yet a birder. I saw 2 black vultures in a tree just past the East Canal, but I was so tired. I hadn't been drinking enough water. I was lightheaded. I had to pass on that photo opportunity. So I went and I sat down and I closed my eyes for a second. And all of a sudden I got startled. The whole thing shook and I heard a metallic clang. This really big bird swooped down and landed really hard on the railing. And I couldn't bypass that opportunity. So I got up, I took a few steps back, and I took a lot of pictures of this very cooperative bird. It's almost a perfect picture. When I got home, a lot of my pictures were foggy because my lens was foggy. Adobe Photoshop Elements has an auto smart fix feature, which got rid of almost all the fogginess. You can still see some remnants here at the top background. And I have this picture framed. I'm very proud of it. Next, please. Okay, we're going to stay at the Arthur Marshall Reserve. We're going to go on the Marsh Trail, which is the official birding trail. I assume most birders like myself, you know, that I default to a burst mode just in case I'm going to need it. And I saw this great blue heron go into this pose that I hadn't seen. And I stood there, I took bursts until it left the viewing area. And I'm pretty sure this was the best one. I love the contrasting colors. The flash did engage, and I also used Photoshop's element to touch it up, which filled in some of the light in the back. Perfection depends on the viewing medium. I know when I look at this on my computer screen, I think it's a little too bright, but I have this in a wooden frame in my living room, you know, right behind me that you can't see. And the lighting isn't ideal in my apartment. And under those settings, it's a perfect picture. I love it, and I'm glad to be able to show it off. All right, next, please. Thank you.
Very nice.
Okay, I actually took this recently on July 30th. This is the Levee Trail. If you're birding and you want to see wildlife, take the Levee Trail south from Lee Road if you enter it in Boynton Beach. This is pretty far down. This is about 7 or 8 miles down. I like taking riverbend shots and I like taking endless road shots. And I think I caught the lighting and the curvature and the angle just right for this time of day. Here I think there's a little raindrop on the lens in the bottom, but if I crop it past the point, the aspect is a little off, so I'll leave this imperfection off. I'm just a point and shoot person. When last year I bought a Nikon Coolpix B600, but then I realized, hey, I need some more zoom, and now I'm using the Monster Zoom P1000. I sacrificed some picture quality because there's a small lens, but I like the zoom. And that's it.
Very good.
Okay. Any questions? I notice the chat's up to about 15 now.
Mark, when you said you walk, where do you start from when you're walking on the berm to Lee Road?
Okay, no, you actually, I drive to Lee Road. There's an entrance there, and you go as far west as you can. There's a boat ramp parking lot.
Right.
And I lately, even in the extreme heat, you can walk. The southern end of the reserve ends at Lakahatchee Road, about 13 miles south. So I've been taking that walk usually once a week now, and counting all the birds and reporting them to eBird, and I love it. There's nowhere else in the world I want to be.
13 miles you walk?
Yeah.
In one direction or round trip?
No, it's one direction, and I get a ride back. I don't have the daylight to make it back.
13 miles. How long does it take you to do 13 miles?
Well, because the speed isn't a consideration, because I feel like I'm responsible for counting every bird along the way, and I'm also taking a lot of pictures of deer and alligators and scenery. It takes between 8 and 9 hours.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Me too. In this heat?
In the heat?
Yeah. And right, I mean, I like it now better because now it's so hot. There's nobody on the trail, and when it gets cooler, there's a lot of bicyclists.
Yes,
there are people training for races, and but now there's nobody there at all.
Yeah, I bet there isn't.
That's dedication.
You bet. Well, thank you, Mark.
I appreciate the praise. Thank you.
Hey, next person coming up is Sherry. Sherry, you there?
Don't forget to unmute, Sherry.
I am unmuted, and my name is Cherry, like cherry pie.
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. So I got really interested in duckbills, and I started finding out information about them. And I realized that some people think that the lower and upper bills of ducks, swans, and geese have teeth, when in reality they are comb-like projections called papillae. Next. But what you probably haven't thought about are flamingo bills also have those papillae as well. And it's interesting because they can trap their seeds and invertebrates and other food while at the same time keeping out dirt and water, and to filter all that. Next. But what you probably didn't know is that the tongues of a lot of the ducks, geese, and swans and flamingos have projections or spikes on the tongue called lamellae. So we've got papillae, which are the ridge-like teeth, and lamellae, which are the ridges on the tongue. It sounds like a comedy team, papillae and lamellae. But I also wonder if y'all knew that these ducks, swans, geese have taste buds, and they're fewer than what we have as humans, but they're also found on the roof and the floor of the mouth rather than on the tongue.
Hmm.
And the number of ridges on the bills change. Next. So there you can kind of see the ridges on the northern shoveler. Most ducks have like between 50 to 70 of those. The northern shoveler has 180 on the top bill and around 220 on the bottom bill.
Wow.
So all of this is connected with text. I have photo prompts, and I've been writing a column for almost 11 years. It's published in some newspapers. And so my pictures are actually not so pretty or the best composition, but I'm trying to show what I'm writing about in the text. So I appreciate all the beauty that I've seen tonight, but just don't hold it against me if they're not pretty, because I am trying to educate about birds and other wildlife.
Pretty cool.
Wonderful.
Pretty cool. Anybody have any more questions for her?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I thought your first picture was really pretty. The others were more demonstrative, but very interesting. And I was photographing a goose, I believe it was, quite a few years ago, and noticed that I focused really tight in the face and saw those teeth-like projections. And
Sherry?
I was very fascinated by it.
Thank you. Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Can you explain how you got interested in even exploring these teeth like on these birds?
That Canada goose picture that I had, when I looked at it and enlarged it, and a lot of these are cropped immensely, I thought, what is that? But the other thing is, I was living down in the Yucatan and had banded flamingos and was familiar with the flamingos and actually did a program on them. And that research then led to all of this. So once I found out that ducks also had those ridges on the teeth, but with this column and having been doing it for 11 years, I look for things that people maybe won't think about and then try and educate them just so I can get them to be encouraged to go outdoors and appreciate nature. So that's a long answer to your question, but I'm fascinated, and then I usually think people might be too. So, and if anybody's interested, I don't know if I should say this or not, but the newspapers, I send out a distribution list once a month, and if you want to receive my articles, I would put you on the list and go from there. It's just by email. I never send out more than one a month.
Absolutely fascinating to get interested in that. Thanks.
Carrie, would you post that contact in our chat for everybody?
Sure, I'll just send my email, and if you're interested, and we'll go from there. And I've done things on pigmentation, eyelids, eye rings.
Wow.
Just things you don't normally think about. And that happened because I was at Wakadahatchee and an Anhinga, a cormorant landed close to me. And I noticed the eyelid went up from the bottom instead of from the top. So that started out a whole new feature. So anyway.
Carrie, would you be interested in putting an article in the Audubon Everglades quarterly magazine?
Scott and I've talked about that, and I want to do a section called Did You Know? And it'll be just a few pictures with a little of information, just like some things I talked about, like eyelids, eye rings. So
I think that would be awesome.
Okay.
I do too. Great.
This is Scott. Yeah, I've been talking to Sherry about this, and Cherry. And by the way, Cherry, about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, Mark Cook presented to our photo group, and his presentation was on using photos for scientific photography. And that's what you're doing. The photos, and so please don't apologize, because the photos, it's not just about beauty, it's about what the photo conveys, and your photos are conveying so much. I loved what you did with this and how you explain the differences here. So please don't apologize. These are great.
Thank you for the support, and thanks to all of you that are interested in letting me ask so many questions. So thank you.
We love it. That's what we're here for. Definitely. And if you need any extra pictures for your presentation or something, I love eyes. So I specialize in some eyes. So if you do something on eyes, that would be great.
I typically just use only my photo prompts, but who knows what will happen in the future. And just to let you all know, this is published in Mexican newspapers in English. And so it's backyard birding in Merida, Yucatan and beyond. But I'll also do, I've also written about different wildlife like jaguars, sloths, primates. And wow. I should be in Patagonia in November with condors, penguins, and pumas. So stay tuned.
We will. Thank you, Cherry. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure to be in this group. I love y'all.
Love you.
Okay, you ready to move on?
We're good.
Okay, well, I'm the next talker, and we're going to move away from birds for a little bit. Specifically, talk about foxes. Got a series of pictures taken from when Charlene and I lived up north in Oakton, Virginia. And as you can see, behind the fox is a rather wooded area. We kept our property as rough looking as we could. So we had foxes, groundhogs, deer, a whole variety of critters that just considered our property their home. And we found the foxes were fascinating. You know, you can see how well they made themselves at home because one decided that our deck belonged to him. We also, over the years that we were there, we found that we were getting we were seeing kits being raised. Each year we would have anywhere from about 2 to 6 kits to a litter. And when we also discovered that the little more research, that the mother and father would stick together and they would both raise the kits. Or if there were too many kits, it seemed like a kid from the previous litter would stick around to help mama and dad the following year with, because these little ones need to be trained. So they would be running around our yard, and just to prove that we do have 6 of them. We got 5 there on the left, but if you look over to the right, there's somebody who's trying to catch up. Now, my wife and I had 2 rules. One was when the kids and parents are out, we do not go out in the backyard. We did not want to try to influence their behavior. Even though the little ones would come back banging on our back door, they had not yet learned to be afraid of people. I had one that tried to stare me down on the driveway until the parent grabbed it and moved it out. The other rule we had was we would not feed them. As much as we wanted to, we realized they had to learn to be wild foxes, did not want them to become dependent. We almost broke the rule, however. One rainy day, cold rainy day, a little one was on our deck, and he looked so miserable that we actually thought, well, do we want to break the rule and try to provide some comfort? We decided no at the very end, but it was tempting.
It would be.
Yeah. For several years, we had a web page showing our different foxes over the years. That was until there was a free web page from Verizon, until Verizon took down the free web pages. So that kind of disappeared.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, but anyhow, that's my fox saga. Any
Wonderful.
questions?
Rich, were the foxes actually breeding on your property?
Yes.
That's amazing.
There was a area in so halfway in the backyard where the person who built the house had dumped tree stumps, and over the years the tree stumps had deteriorated, and because they had buried them underground, and we had a literal foxhole because that's where we surmised that the mother would actually have her kids. We also know that that hole had 2 exits. The one that we could see from our house. And by the way, for anybody who's interested, we were using a bridge camera for all these shots. And we were sitting in our dining room.
How neat.
Yeah, but you know, they, I don't know if I answered the question there, Scott.
You did. Thank you, Rich. That's wonderful that that happened so naturally because of something the previous owner did. Yeah. And the foxes had a habitat. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, the previous owner, you know, only took down enough trees to put the house up.
We have 1.6.
Yeah, so he was sort of, he built the house himself, so he was looking for comfort rather than profit, I think. Okay,
great picks.
Okay, so the next person we have coming up is Gary.
Hello, everybody. I'm new to the group.
Hi, Gary.
And I've enjoyed all the pictures so far tonight. This picture, I took at Wakota. It's a anhinga that was swimming in very, very shallow water and just picked his head up, and I grabbed him at that instant. And I like it because it's pastel looking and it's kind of abstract.
So. My gosh, I thought it was a jellyfish.
That's his body with his feathers and the yellow part.
Water turkey pose.
Yeah. Love it.
Kind of like this picture. Next. This is also Wakota. I was on the boardwalk and this egret was hunting and he walked right under me basically and I shot straight down on him. I like the way the sunlight just caught his head.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you. Next. Also Wakota, egret breeding colors in his face and he was coming in for a landing.
Beautiful.
To the nest.
They're so elegant.
Yeah, it's got an ethereal look to it. It's I like the softness of it.
Backlighting.
Yeah. Next. Okay, this is a grebe that caught this fish, and I couldn't believe how big the fish was and how small the bird was, and watched him juggle it until he swallowed this thing whole. It was kind of incredible to watch. So,
they are amazing.
Yeah, I like the motion in the picture, and, the color and the sunlight was just perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah, I like the eyes. It's almost like he's saying, you know, what the hell did I catch?
Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like. It was like, wow, how am I going to swallow this thing? But he did. So.
It is amazing what fish can swallow. Yeah. I mean, what birds can swallow. The size of the fish that they can swallow. Man. Yeah. I've seen some aningas swallow fish that were so big. It just didn't seem possible until it disappeared.
Right. It's kind of amazing.
It really is.
Gary, what I love about your photos is that other than the great egret with its wings outspread, the other 3 were all taken on a down angle. And usually, you know, as photographers, we're kind of discouraged from doing that. You know, we're supposed to try to shoot the, you know, the objects, you know, eye to eye in a sense. But these shots are so great, you know, they worked so perfectly. Particularly that first anhinga shot was just brilliant. I just loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fascinating shot.
Yeah, I try to go for different angles and different approaches and try not to get the usual. So, thank you.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, Don Schwartz is next.
Hi, this is back to Arthur R. Marshall, right off the Cypress Boardwalk. And January, the male started to make the nest, excavating it. And back in April, the end of April, we started to hear the birds with the parents going into the hole, but didn't see the birds yet. This photo was taken May 5th when the birds first appeared. Next. This is about a week, 10 days later. The two of them are looking for food. They were very vocal. And what we found out is that both of them are males. You can see the red stripe under the jaw on both of them. Next. What was fascinating is the female, the mother, is on the left side. It would only feed the bird that was on the left side. The other one, which seems to be smaller, was only fed by the male when it would come. And I got this one shot with both parents coming at the same time. Next. This was May 16th in the afternoon. The birds were both starting to really lean out of the nest. And this turns out to be the last photo that I got of them, because when I came back the next day, they both fledged. So it was quite experience to see them from beginning to end.
Wonderful.
Any questions?
Yeah, Don, can you repeat again where this was?
This is on the Cypress Boardwalk behind the Visitor Center at the Arthur R. Marshall, Waxahachie.
Really?
Yes.
Was it right behind the Visitor Center or further on the boardwalk?
Okay, on the exit side,
okay,
maybe 300 feet down, 200 to 300 feet down.
On the left or right?
Okay, facing north on the right side.
I wouldn't know north or south, but if you go in the exit, would it be on the left or the right? If you're walking in the exit?
On the right side.
On the right, okay.
Yeah, on the right side.
Perfect circle.
And as far as the camera goes, I use and only use a Canon SX 740 HS, which is a point and shoot camera with a tripod.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wonderful pictures.
Thank you. And thanks to Rich for helping me get the pictures onto the site.
Onto the Contest Pro?
Yes.
Perfect.
You're a professional now there, Don.
Okay, thanks again, Rich. Yes.
Notice about the circle being perfect. Yes.
Okay. And could you tell me again, Don, what was the first month that you saw them?
The end of April. This was
April
2022. So it was about the third week. We started to hear the birds chirping, and the parents would be going into the hole, but it's hard to see, but the hole is quite deep.
Yeah, I'm sure.
When the parents did go in, you did not see them at all. And, while they were feeding the babies, and it was only until they flew out that you caught the photos of them flying out.
Wow. It's pretty amazing that so often you see birds that fledge, you usually see them practice with their wings. It's like, I wonder how they do it, how they even get their wings moving and stuff. Before they take their first flight. It must be interesting.
I had one shot at the same time that I took this where one of the birds had its wing partially out of the nest and still hanging on. So they for sure were getting ready.
Definitely. Yeah. Wonderful. Great series.
Thanks.
Somebody wants to see it again.
I actually, Nancy, and you were speaking about doing videos. I do have videos. What I do is I make them under 25 megabytes so that I can email them. And I do have the entire series on this and quite a few other birds and gators.
That's wonderful. I definitely think that if we decide to do that, we'll have to look into the technical aspects. We'll post, we'll send out an email to everybody and see how many people are interested. But that would be wonderful. Definitely.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you. Oh, and Rich, would you want to just run through them again?
Yes, sure. Okay. This was May 5th when they first appeared at the hole. That's with the mother feeding. Like I said, the baby on the left side only. These two were as hungry as can be. I have a dozen shots like this where their mouths are open looking for food. And at this point, maybe not on this shot as much, but you can start seeing the red underneath the beak, which would show that they're males. And here, the mother is on the left side, the father's on the right side, and
He doesn't come as often. That's why
feeding the babies. Yes, most of the time the mother was showing up. The father took his time getting there, but they both helped out with the feeding.
Great.
And then,
1 second.
That's okay. And then the last this is just before they fledged, which was May 16th, 2022. And you can really see the red underneath the beak on these.
Great. Okay. Wonderful group, Don. Thanks.
Thanks, Don.
My pleasure.
Okay, next is Terry. Got 3 pictures from you.
Hey everyone, this is also my first time and I just want to thank everyone for all the great pictures. This first picture is a great blues at Wakatahatchee and they're doing a mating ritual. They clack each other's beaks and stuff like that. And I just like the dynamic pictures and just the blue highlights on their beaks and everything. It just came out very nice. I like this picture a lot. Okay, next.
Very nice.
This is a little blue heron, immature. I got this at Dickinson State Park. It's the first time I saw the immature phase, so I was kind of excited. I did increase the shadows in the background to kind of black that out a little bit more, so the bird popped out a little better. And just a nice shot because the bird really comes out at you there. Okay, next. This is a red-billed tropic bird. This was taken in Antigua, up on a cliff, and they were just flying around there. It just, they're such beautiful birds to watch with their streaming tails and stuff like that. So I had a good afternoon watching these birds out there, and so this is one of my favorite shots from there.
Wonderful. Long tail they have.
Yeah, yeah, they really have a nice streaming tail there. Okay, so I think that's it. So thank you.
What kind of camera did you use to catch this last shot?
This was a Sony Alpha. This was an old shot. It was probably taken 10 or 12 years ago. Now I shoot with Nikon D7500.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And
last but not least.
Yeah. Next person is Scott.
Let me, I am unmuted. Okay, so Mary and I were in Iceland this June, actually from June till early July. And so we went there very excited about seeing the birds we would see, particularly the puffins and all the waterfalls and somewhat the glaciers. But I think perhaps I was most fascinated by the glaciers while I was there. We didn't get to see them that often. We only saw them a couple of times. But I'd never seen glaciers before. So I'd never been to any Arctic region prior to this trip. And so when I saw them, it was pretty awe-inspiring. And unfortunately, or I don't know, you can judge by the photo, we never got to see them on a clear day. In fact, we got to see very little of Iceland on a clear day. Most of the time that we were there, it was either raining or just overcast. So we only had a few sunny days on our entire 3-week journey in Iceland. So this photo, as you can see, was taken from a low, it says low vantage point. And the reason I have that is because I took kind of two similar shots, one from a lower angle and one from a higher angle. I kind of went back a little bit and climbed up a hill to see how it would look from a different perspective. But just before you show that one, Rich, one of the things that really fascinated me, and I didn't realize until I got there and really spent time with the glaciers, was how dynamic the shapes were. And they were always changing depending on how you looked at the glacier. And so, and then also, of course, here you can see more glaciers in the background, kind of in between that cloud mist. And the difference is also, as you look at the glaciers, you see some parts are white, some parts are blue, some parts, of course, are brown. That's, you know, from dirt. And the blue parts, by the way, is where the kind of the wind and the rain and evaporation have taken place and blown away the snow. And so you're actually seeing the blue ice there. And the other parts are kind of covered in snow and dirt. So if you want to show the next shot, Rich. Okay, so this is the same view, but just a little higher. I'm a little higher up, and you can see that one kind of brown hill on the right side there. And also notice the mist has changed also. So now you have that opening on the left. And I just love this when I went back and saw these photos, how kind of different they were. And if not, I think if not for that one kind of hill on the right, I probably wouldn't have known even that they were of the same shot, because they seemed so different to me at the time. And again, the shapes were just wonderful. It was actually pretty hard to choose which glacier shots to show, because there were just so many of them that were so fascinating. And by the way, as you know from everybody's reading about it, from global warming, glaciers are melting all over the world. And Iceland, which was once, I think, 15% glaciers, is now only about 10 or 11% glaciers. They're melting at approximately 27 billion tons a year of glacier melt in the last 20 years. I read an area of about the size of Loxashi National Wildlife has disappeared of glacier, and they're predicting somewhere between 2020, depending on what you read, and 2200 or 2300, there will be no more glaciers in Iceland.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So if you want to see glaciers, I suggest you go see them soon. All right, next shot, Rich. Thank you. So this shot, so I had actually what I thought were better quality common eider shots, and we saw lots of common eider. They're very common in Iceland. They're all over. I mean, and the males particularly, the males are stunning. Because everyone, everything is in breeding plumage at the time that we were there. So we're seeing all of these birds in this magnificent plumage. But what I loved about this shot was there was a surprise element for me. And that, of course, is the fact that there were 4 ducklings in this shot. There's the 2 that you see above water, the one that's about to dive and go under. And then there are the 2 underwater. And I didn't even realize this until I kind of looked closely and I go, oh, there are 2 more ducklings in here. So I love that aspect to photography sometimes, where you're taking a shot, you're not really sure what the end product's going to be. You think you are, and then you're surprised by it. So that was kind of just this wonderful moment for me. And by the way, as you travel to Iceland in the summer, you're seeing lots of these eider ducklings in many different places. It's one of the very probably the most common duck that you will see in all of Iceland. Actually, they're breeding there, and they're pretty much everywhere. Last shot. And this is one of the things people go to Iceland to see. And I knew there were puffins before earlier. So we went to Björgafjörður, Eystri, and I'm trying to say it like an Icelandic person, you can tell, because we were there for 3 weeks, so you're supposed to try to sound at least Icelandic. So this was a breeding colony of about 10,000 puffins. So they estimate that about 1.5 million puffins breed in Iceland every year, which is an amazing number. And there's estimated to be about 5 million puffins in Iceland. And by the way, some of you may know that the Icelandic people eat puffin, so they harvest about 150,000 puffins a year, from what I've told. And we'd see puffins come up on restaurant menus while we were there as well. But what I really loved about this shot was, of course, you wanted to get a shot with puffins with the fish in their mouth, and these are sand eels primarily that you're seeing. But if you look closely, and you can see the eyes of the sand eels, and that's what I love about this shot. It's like these are 4 sand eels. You're seeing the puffin with those beautiful kind of almost sad eyes looking at you, but you're also seeing the sand eel's eyes, who are, of course, going to be swallowed in no time. And this puffin, of course, is going to be bringing them down to their I'm not sure what little puffins are called. Chicks, I guess, yes. But by the way, and one thing I did not know until I got to Iceland was that the puffins breed in burrows. They dig a burrow into the earth, which is about a foot to 1.5 feet deep. And that's where the chicks are, and that's where they bring the food to when they fly in and out of off the cliff and into the water, and then come back, and they bring back the food for the chicks.
Is it sandy?
So this area was not, there are sandy portions, yes, but these guys are really determined, and they'll dig away the grass as well. Wow. And these holes are all over. I mean, they were all over this one cliff. And by the way, this looks really, this place where you're seeing this isolated puffin here, it looks very remote, but actually there's like a staircase iron staircase that was built. There must have been 100 other people looking at these puffins with me. It's a real tourist attraction. There are buses of tourists coming in to this area because everybody wants to see puffins. Who can blame them? Yeah. And so it was just as one. But even though they were all there, it was just so wonderful to be around these puffins for about an hour and to be able to photograph them.
Somebody asked if that is an insect in the right upper corner.
Yes, it is. I'm so glad you noticed, because I love that about the shot. And yes, it is an insect. And again, another surprise. I had no idea that was there when I took the picture. But in cropping it, I left it in because I liked it so much. Mm-hmm. So that was intentional leaving it in. I was, typically you crop it a little tighter, but I decided, no, I want to leave that insect in there.
I like it.
Thank you.
It always amazed me how birds can catch multiple fish like that. And how do they open their mouth, get another one, and why the other ones don't fall out. But it's a lot of what Sherry showed us earlier, that they have those ridges on their beaks and tongues, which help hold those fish in so they can go and catch another fish.
Right. And I watched the puffins actually foraging. And what they do is they basically sit on the water and then they dive. And so they're just they're watching, and then they're just kind of diving under to get the fish. And then when they come up with something, they often will fly off at that point and head back to the nest.
But they swim underwater, right? So they can keep grabbing additional fish.
I guess.
Yeah, that's so neat.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're like little wind-up toys the way they fly. You literally, when you're seeing puffins, you can't get enough of them.
Yeah, that's exciting. Very nice.
Scott, did you see any eruptions?
I did not. We were there we left about a month prior to when that volcanic eruption took place in Iceland. Recently, yeah, it just happened in the beginning of August, and we missed it. And it was, and if you look at the videos online, they are stunning of it.
Yeah. Well.
And Scott, do you have any money left over?
That's a good question, Rich.
So just
yes, this was this definitely impacted our savings.
Oh, that and the roof.
Yes, that's true. The roof was a little more expensive, actually. Yes, but they're both over.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Did you eat any puffins there?
No. I'm first of all, I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat puffins anyway.
Okay.
And I would not have had the heart to eat a puffin.
Okay.
I mean, no. And actually, there was another place you could eat shark. There was actually a shark museum. We were staying in an Airbnb right next to the shark museum, and they actually give you samples of shark there. And I didn't have the heart to go in there either. I'm a softie, so just could not do it.
Yeah, two specialties they have there. One is fermented shark, and
Right.
I've tried it, and it is terrible. And the other, which I did not try, they call it puffin in a jar.
Really?
Literally, yeah. So you can take it home. As Scott said, it's it's like buying canned meat.
Was it cooked already? The puffin in the jar?
I have no idea. We did not get it.
Sardines.
I have no idea either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful pictures.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Has Jan Freeman or Paula Cottrell joined us?
Let's see.
I guess Paula's power outage didn't get resolved.
Okay.
Just too bad.
Never lost her.
Yeah, I had I have no internet. She did text me. I'm sorry. She said I have no internet service or home phone. I texted Nancy. All photos taken in San Blas, Mexico.
I can also put their pictures up.
So at least we know where they're from.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you want, Nancy, I can just put their pictures up briefly so people can see what they submitted.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so it'll take me a couple of seconds to run through all the pictures. Hang on a second.
Nothing.
All of a sudden.
Oh, there's the insect.
If you're getting dizzy, I apologize.
We're good. Scott, did she say anything other than the location?
No, that's all she said.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Jan gave us 4 pictures. A buckeye butterfly is fascinating. The hummingbird moth, we'd actually seen that before. We just were not aware of it for a long time, that it was actually a moth, because we thought it was a hummingbird, but the way it acts.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Very, very neat.
Yeah. Yeah. And the monarch.
Yeah. A male monarch.
Yeah.
On, what is it? Swamp milkweed.
Milkweed. They said, sorry, I'll go back to that.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty.
Yeah. Now, how did you know that was male?
I was taught by a friend. There's just past the abdomen to the left and right, you'll see a little dot on each side on top of one of the, I'm not sure what they are, like veins.
Yeah.
I'll call them veins. You see those little dots to the left and the right of the abdomen on those veins?
Yeah.
Supposedly that says it's a male.
Oh. Thank you.
I know the person that told me would correct me if I was wrong. So, yeah.
Okay, and her last question was a pipevine swallowtail.
Very pretty.
Yeah, one of these are in our backyard.
Hanks? Oh, thanks. I bet that's thanks. Great.
Okay. let's see, I'll skip past Nancy's pictures to Paula's.
Yeah.
I'm not insulting you, Nancy.
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay, we got 4 pictures from Paula.
She said she took a trip to Mexico this past summer, and I think it was summer or just before summer. And these were all taken in San Blas, Mexico.
Oh, okay.
She said, I think I remember her saying that she got like 100 new birds on her bird list.
Wow.
She said it was a great trip.
Wow. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that first name. Flammulated?
That sounds right. Flammulated flycatchers. Very neat. Harris hawk. I've never seen one. Neat. I wonder if that's an adult or a young one.
Don't know. And her last
Nobody
one?
to ask. Ah. Boy, that looks different than the summer tanagers that I've seen. So I'm wondering if that's just, it's interesting, it's the same name. See, I'm going to have a bunch of questions for her. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Rich, for doing that.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. Okay, so, and I will mute so that other people can talk.
Great. I just want to mention, everyone, that in our last meeting that closed out our previous season, we asked if people were interested in volunteering because we can really use some volunteer help on a number of different things. Unfortunately, the recording of that session didn't work, and so we don't have any record of the people that said they were interested. We know we're recording right now, right? We haven't stopped recording, Rich? Rich?
We are still recording. I was on mute, so I had to unmute.
Okay, so yes, we're still recording.
We are still recording.
Anybody that would be interested in assisting us in any way, like running a tour for us, Rich could use help, a backup person that learns the Photo Contest Pro would be really great. We could use help in many different ways. We want to get our Facebook page going again and fine tune it. So if somebody's good at that, we have one person, Julie Zambori, who is one of the administrators, but she could use help. So all sorts of different things. And if you have any other interest or things that you'd like to share with us, please let us know. You can put some stuff in the chat. We'll keep it open for a little bit here and put your contact information. We would love to hear from you and hopefully you'd like to help with it. So does anybody have any questions?
How often do we have these photo sharing things?
Usually well, it's actually a new thing that we started. So I think our first one was the end of last season. And we plan on doing another one at the end of this season. But if it's really popular, we could add another one somewhere in the middle of the month. Right now, most of our things are scheduled on our meeting day, but it doesn't mean we can't add things. So we certainly could add another photo share because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was nice.
And hopefully you guys did too.
Can I ask a question? Do you ever do like workshops where you tell you how to improve your pictures?
We could do that.
Just because like I've been in other photo groups where they have workshops and they actually help you. And I was just thinking with like bird shots and stuff, it might be helpful.
Yeah. Well, put your request in the chat and we'll put that on the list to look into it.
Yeah,
we certainly have, yes.
Yeah, we've done critique sessions that I think might help answer that, Bill.
Maybe. It's whether you want to know procedures on how to improve your pictures or do you want to critique, a general critique of your images that you would like?
Both would be helpful.
Okay, well, there you go. We do, we have in the past had critiques And we are thinking of getting them in our schedule for this season. We haven't scheduled them yet though. So that would be another event that's different than what we've already scheduled. So keep your eyes out and we'll let you know if we get one. And for critiques, we do ask you to submit images for critique. And we usually have a professional photographer that has agreed to work with us and do the critique. So that's on our list.
And we've also, I'm just going to say, Nancy, we've also had a number of photographers, a number of our presenters in the past who have done presentations on different aspects of photography, you know, whether it's using light or you know, or whatever. And then some even in terms of, you know, post-processing as well. So we've had many of those kinds of workshops in the past.
And we do, again, I listed them in the beginning.
Right.
So yeah, we have ones that are going to go over color and how to shoot birds, how to
and what's her name?
Composition and light. So yeah, a lot of that will be covered in our different presentations.
And Karen, you might want to check out some of our past videos because a lot of those have been presenters that have talked specifically about shooting, you know, different aspects of photography.
Okay, now I know like other camera clubs, they do actual workshops and then they do the light room and they show you how to like make it better. And it's very helpful, yeah, especially for someone who's just trying to learn.
Right.
Yeah, we've had some of those in the past, a couple of years ago. And we can put it on our list of things to try to get done for this year too.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Anybody else? So I hope we'll see all of you at our next meeting, which is the second Thursday of the month. And let me see if I can find out who is going to be on that. Here we go. Nope, that's the wrong picture.
October 13th.
Yeah, I think that, okay, that's our photographer, our young photographer who uses a bridge camera to shoot macro and micro. So that's going to be our next meeting. So I hope you'll all attend. He is considered a rather good, may not be a professional, but he's a very good photographer. And it should be interesting to see what he produces with his bridge camera. So I think that's it, unless somebody else knows that I missed something. Mary, did I miss anything? I think she's gone.
Hi, no.
No, didn't miss anything?
I just, as your computer off.
Scott, you need to shut down your volume.
Scott and I are next to each other at our computers. I just wanted to remind people that are new, if you'd like to join our photography club and get all of our photography information, as soon as you join Audubon Everglades, you can just email us. I'll put it in the chat real quick after I finish saying it. You can email us with your name, email address, and phone number, and we'll add you to our list, and then you'll be getting all of the information that we send out to the photography group. Okay.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, I guess it's time. Hope all of you enjoyed it. I thought you guys did a great job, and it was a lot of fun tonight. So look forward to seeing everybody next month, and we will keep an eye on that chat. We'll leave it open for a little bit so that if you want to put in anything about volunteering or things you'd like us to add to our season's plans, that would be great, and we'll review it. So that's it. Anybody that doesn't have a comment can say goodbye. So it was nice seeing everybody and loved your pictures.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you for participating, everyone.
Pleasure.
Great. Bye now.
One night.
Yeah, I'll continue recording if somebody was putting anything in chat. Otherwise, as soon as I stop recording, we'll lose whatever gets added to chat.
Right. So we don't want to lose it quite yet.
Yeah. Right. but I'm watching people bail out. So.
So we'll know then.
Well, actually, the last people on, like Gary, we're just going to volunteer him and Mark will volunteer him to positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You volunteer the ones that left.
No, you get voluntold as to what to do.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, I think we're pretty much.
All right. I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate
it. Mark.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Have a good night. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
I'm killing the recording.
Okay. Sounds good.